Another jam-packed week of 2020 politics as President Trump threatens to overshadow Democrats yet again. The president set for a big Las Vegas rally the day before the Nevada caucuses, which are on Saturday. And instead of putting their full focus on Trump, 2020 Democrats, they're going after each other, this time setting their sights on Michael Bloomberg and his campaign spending.
He just can't hide behind the airways. He has to answer questions.
$60 billion can buy you a lot of advertising, but it can't erase your record. There's a lot to talk about, Michael Bloomberg.
In a democracy, no one should be able to buy an election.
Well, I got news for Mr. Bloomberg, and that is the American people are sick and tired of billionaires buying elections.
And Bloomberg's past comments continue to cause problems. Rivals say Bloomberg is insulting hardworking farmers in a resurfaced video. But his campaign responding by saying Bloomberg's comments are being taken out of context, and he was contrasting thousands of years of farming with today's technology-driven workplace. Take a look.
If you think about it, the agrarian society lasted 3,000 years, and we could teach processes. I could teach anybody, even people in this room, so no offense intended, to be a farmer. It's a process. You dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could learn that. Then you have 300 years of the industrial society. You put the piece of metal on the lathe, you turn the crank in the direction of the arrow, and you can have a job.
Bloomberg also making news today after his campaign pushed back on a report that he would consider Hillary Clinton as his vice presidential pick. I think that was not true. Jesse, do you think that was true?
No.
You think Hillary Clinton's people put that out there?
He'd need a food tester. I don't know if I'd trust Hillary as my VP. She'd be right after him every move he made. I think that was just a leak to Drudge to get some earned media ahead of the weekend. But she's got so much baggage. And he needs someone young and energetic, and crooked doesn't come to mind when you think about that.
And also, they can't both be from New York.
I did not know that.
There you go.
That's interesting. I learned a lot of interesting things about Mike Bloomberg this weekend, that, he's been nasty to women and to blacks and to seniors and to farmers, but I did not know that he puts ice in his beer.
I read that.
Which is pure psychopath. And
if
disqualifies
you're a
him.
you can just
I guess you can, but I'd run ads just on that. And the question is, bottom line, do any of these Democrats out there, are they talented enough to capitalize on all these ridiculous things coming out of the Bloomberg campaign? My answer is no. They're just not strong enough, and they're all too weak. The guy's got no message. What is his message? I'm richer and nicer than Donald Trump?
He says Mike can get it done.
Yeah, Mike can get it done. What is it? What is the it that Mike can get done? Mike's not even running his campaign. He's just cutting checks. He's maybe not even dictating the tweets that they send out, and everyone's getting rich off of the campaign.
But his numbers are going up, Donna.
So worried about Michael Bloomberg. First of all,
do I look worried, Donna?
Yes, baby. I can
This is not the face of worry.
Baby, you are sweating, because when you first started describing this man, I thought you were talking about Donald Trump. Because, by the way, Michael Bloomberg is a former Republican. I first came to know him when he spoke at the 2004 Republican convention here in New York.
That's right.
Well, that hurt him with Democrats,
Yeah,
Donna?
because he endorsed Bush that year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And you know what? And now he's running. Now, let me just say, Dana asked a good question. His so-called slogan is, Mike will bring decency, respect, and something else back to the White House.
Something else.
Okay?
Doesn't matter.
See that? It get blurry. All right, so here's the thing. Michael Bloomberg is running a two-track campaign.
Yeah.
The first track is to get people like us to talk about him.
Right.
Right? And the second track is to get people like us to vote for him. Now, on the first track, we're succeeding. We're talking about him. The second track, I don't think he's going to do that.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's it. Can we talk about something else?
Yes, I want to ask Greg about Michael Bloomberg has a long career, as a lot of these politicians, especially if you're in your 70s and you're running, you have a long career, you've done a lot of things, you've probably gone to a lot of events, and I imagine that they're going to drop these little videos about Michael Bloomberg
probably
every
some
3 hours.
Tasteful erotic photography in his past.
Oh,
no, here's the deal.
I
was going to defend him until you told me about the ice cubes. Now I don't know what to do. Look,
unacceptable.
I want to try this whole thing of this outrage. I have a rule of thumb. If the outrage is too easy, it's out of context, which means almost all outrage about comments and quotes are always out of context. And I've defended it with people I like, and I will defend it with Bloomberg, who I'm kind of indifferent towards. But I would say that, like, if you examine the statement that he made, it's in an audience that understands the statement, and when you take it out of context, it means something else. So I want to take a statement that he made that now everybody's saying is really bad. So in 2011, he said that there's an enormous cohort of young Black and Latino men who don't know how to behave in the workplace. All right, that sounds terrible. Everybody's talking about it. But then the context is he was speaking to PBS while introducing a $127 million program to help minority guys get jobs. So what he was saying was, why is that program necessary? Because there's an issue. And so he explains why there's an issue, and he's trying to remedy the issue. So it's not fair to anybody when you right, left, middle to keep pulling these things out. The problem with the Democrats is, or the left actually, they can't pass their own standards anymore because you have a pocket of intersectional activists who think everybody is oppressed and you're the oppressor. So they're applying today's, I said this on Friday, they're applying today's standards to decisions that one makes in the past. And you can't do that.
And the other thing, Greg, to your point, because I agree with you half the time, as you well know. To your point, back in the day, stop and frisk, before it was ruled unconstitutional, was a practice not just here in New York, but other large cities. So let's get that straight.
True.
Federal law.
Absolutely.
And Donald Trump made a speech before the police chiefs in 2018 where he said it was a good policy. It was a bad policy. You know why? Because you stopped people who were innocent. Just because of this skin color. By the way, I can't get rid of this. I can't get rid of this, okay? Just because of your skin color, you're pulling people aside.
Yeah.
And you're not, and that was ruled unconstitutional.
Can I respond to this? Because there are 2 points. It was originally called Stop, Question, and Frisk. That's the first mistake, because your question, the cop makes an observation, but no one ever mentions the question part. Number 2, before stop and frisk, people would complain, activists and politicians and media would complain that people only care about crime if it happens to a white person. Hence, the missing white girl gets attention, but the black boys in Atlanta didn't, the young black boys. So that was a big criticism. So New York City decides we are going to focus on minority neighborhoods and get the crime out of there. That's racist too. So if you focus, you're racist, and if you don't care, you're racist. So you can't win. You see that?
During the peak of the crime epidemic in this country, many innocent people were pulled over, questioned, stopped, simply because of the way they look. And that's why it's good to talk about the policy and just not make it about the personality.
Sure. So let's get Emily in here about maybe on whatever you want to talk about. But I was thinking about on the Bloomberg side of things, it's like Donna's point of we are all talking about him, but really the Democrats are all talking about him because they're like, you're trying to buy this election.
Right, and it remains to be seen how many people don't care about that because they say the only thing that matters is beating Donald Trump at the ballot box. I think what's interesting about all of the years that we're looking back on Bloomberg is that, yes, when you isolate the comments, you can either defend them or somehow explain them away, which a lot of people on his behalf are doing. But I think when you stand back and look at the trend, it belies that demeaning attitude or simply the selfish attitude that up until now the entire Democratic Party was saying that they were trying to get away from. They didn't want another New York self-centered, narcissistic, flyover country hating person, and that's exactly what this person is representing himself to be in all of those video clips and the book about him and everything. It's not just one comment where you're like, okay, is that enough? There's a ton that sort of belie that type of I'm better than you personality and farming and everything. And I think it's interesting what Klobuchar said, which is, look, you're beating us in the ads, sure, but you're not going to beat us on the stage. And I think it's really going to be fascinating to finally see him on the stage and see whether, for example, his now explanation of the stop and frisk, his first-class seat on the apology train that he's doing.
It'll be a big pile on. Donna, is he in the debate? Is that announced yet?
I don't know. I think they're waiting on one more poll.
They're waiting for a box.
Yeah, where's the box?
No, stop that, you guys. That is not fair.
Why? I'm short. I didn't say that.
It is
I'm
not
short.
fair.
I can make short jokes.
But you are tall in stature.
He's tall in spirit.